Hi, my name's Maisie and I'm the clinical lead at Enough, and I've created this video to introduce myself really, to say hi and to talk to you about some of the support that we have available, and to talk to you about not just the support that's available for your loved one, but also some of the support that's available for you as well. Because although you're probably watching this video because something truly horrible has happened to somebody very close to you, you're also probably watching feeling incredibly overwhelmed and maybe not knowing where on earth to start in helping to support your loved one. So this is why this video is for you specifically. And it's important because sharing their experience with you can be a hugely beneficial step in restoring connection after trauma. But it can feel really uncomfortable and really scary for them to imagine what that conversation is going to look like. They might be worried about when to tell you, where to tell you, how much to tell you. And they might also be worried about how you're going to respond, whether or not it's going to change your perception of them or change the dynamic of your relationship. And as acknowledging what's happened to them is really the first step towards recovery, sharing this experience with you is likely going to be a pivotal part in their recovery journey. And so it's really important that this conversation feels safe and feels compassionate. Because trauma, it isolates people, and that's probably one of the most harrowing impacts of trauma is the fact that it shatters a person's sense of safety in the world and sense of trust in others. But with a compassionate and informed relationship, you can actually help your loved one to start to rebuild that trust and to start to restore any connection that's been broken as a result of what they've been through. And that's an incredibly powerful thing that you can do for them. And although this might seem a little bit scary, it might seem like there's a lot of pressure being put on you, we can help you through it. We've created not just this video, but we have a wide range of resources on our website under the Allies page. And there will also be a space for you on the Enough community so that you can share your thoughts, your feelings, advice, learn things that you need to learn to hopefully feel more empowered and confident in navigating this conversation. So really the first thing that you could do for your loved one is to make sure that they feel heard. Create a space for this conversation and make sure that they know that in that moment, nothing else matters. Whatever might be going on around you, it's really important that when your loved one decides to have this conversation with you, you can create a really safe and private space without any interruptions so that they know that they have your undivided attention. And if this is something that you need to schedule as well, if this is a conversation that you maybe have had that they want to share something with you but they don't know when the right time is, it would be a good idea to see if they would be comfortable slotting in a time to have that conversation. But it's also quite common for these things to just spill out. They just need to get it off their chests. And if that does happen, it's really important to just be mindful that they really need you in that moment and they're putting their trust in you in that moment. It's also really important to educate yourself. It's perfectly understandable if you're watching this video and not really knowing what on earth they might be feeling, what they need from you, what to expect as you navigate this moving forward. It's okay to not have the answers, but it isn't your loved one's job to educate you, especially as there is so much stigma around the topic of sexual violence and a lot of myths that don't represent the realities and truth of experiencing something like that. So it's really important that you have a really broad and accurate understanding of what they've experienced and the challenges that they might face. So we can do that for you. I've mentioned the Allies page, and that has lots of information. It has some really specific myths on there that we challenge and show the truth behind. And it also has some guides for the specific dynamics of your relationship. So whether you're a parent, whether you're a friend, a partner, or a sibling, we do have specific information on there for you. And we do plan to create more videos specifically for you as well in the future. But you also might want to watch some of our other videos. So with every piece of content that we create, our aim is that it's not just for your loved one. It's not just for people who've experienced something themselves. It's for anyone and everyone that wants to learn more around the impacts and landscape of sexual violence, and for people who want to be able to provide more informed and compassionate support. So if you are interested in learning more, I would really recommend these videos as a place to start. So there is Why Did I?, Tame the Blame, Debunking Myths, and Triggered. And I think they will hopefully provide you with not just a detailed understanding of what your loved one might have experienced at the time, but also some of the things that they may still be experiencing, some of the things that they might experience in the future, and also some of the societal attitudes as well, and how that impacts on a person's recovery. As well as education, affirmation is vital. As you'll learn if you watch some of our other videos, it's far too common for individuals to be met with blaming responses when they disclose a sexual assault. And this can have a detrimental impact on their recovery. And research tells us that how an individual is responded to when they disclose can actually be a traumatic experience in itself. It can compound the impacts of the trauma that they've already experienced. And this is obviously something that we all want to avoid. So affirmation is perhaps the most powerful thing that you can do, is to let them know that what happened is not their fault, to validate their experience, to acknowledge that what they've been through is incredibly traumatic. They may not be able to accept this, they may not be able to see this. We know that self-blame is incredibly common, and it can take a really long time to separate yourself from those messages. But they will remember what you said when they disclosed to you, and they will remember that you told them it wasn't their fault. And that's a really powerful tool that you can use. Another thing to consider, and it probably goes against all your natural instincts, is to resist the urge to ask lots of questions and to try and solve for them. It's understandable that you will have questions and you will want to take their pain away. But it can overwhelm, and it can sometimes invalidate their experience as well if we're rushing towards trying to fix and provide a solution for something that unfortunately there isn't a real solution for. And with the questions, they may never be ready to share every aspect of their experience, and they certainly might not be able to do it the first time you talk about it. And one of the things that we're actually taught as therapists is that when we're working with clients, when we're in a room with them, we should be a blank canvas. We don't have our own thoughts and feelings. Of course, that's not true. We're human, and the things that people say do impact us, and we do have our own feelings. But one of the ways we've been trained to navigate this is to constantly question why. Why am I asking that question? Or why am I offering that thought or that comment? Is it for me? Is it to satisfy my needs, my curiosity? Something in me needs to ask this question. Or do I actually think it will be helpful for that person? So that's maybe just something to gauge within yourself when you're navigating these conversations is, am I responding for them or am I responding for me? And I know you will want to take away their pain. You'll want to speed up the recovery process so that they're feeling fine again. But unfortunately, the path to recovery, it's not linear. There will be ups and downs. And there is no real set end point in sight either. There is no final moment where you're fully recovered. This is something that will impact your loved one for the rest of their lives. And it will change them. And it won't have an overwhelming and dominating impact for the rest of their lives. But there will be highs and lows. And it's really important that whatever the emotion that they're feeling or whatever point in their recovery that they're at, you sit with them in it and you accept their emotions and what they need in that moment. Because one of the most powerful things in recovery is giving our emotions a space. It's allowing ourselves to feel the things that maybe we couldn't feel at the time. But you simply being there with them throughout those emotions, it will make a difference. And let them take the lead. What they've experienced has stripped away their control in that moment. And it's really important that we give them that control back. You know, we listen to hear them rather than listen to solve. And they might not know what they need and what they want. They might not be able to tell you these things, but they might be able to tell you what they don't need. And even if they can't do that, the most important role that you can take is to affirm their voice, is to give them a voice to express whatever it is that they need to express in that moment. You can really empower them and make sure that they never feel alone. And at whatever phase in their recovery they're at, whatever they are feeling or experiencing, simply knowing that they're not alone is a very powerful thing that you can do. And it's also really important to acknowledge that whilst it might seem insignificant compared to what they've been through, you've also been through something traumatic. This has happened to somebody that you care about, that you love, and you are understandably going to have your own set of very big and intense emotions. And it's really important that you feel supported too, and you have a place to put your emotions. Because you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't be the support that your loved one needs if you yourself are not supported. And hopefully we can also be a place of support for you. So I've mentioned that we've created an Enough community, and within that community we have forums for people who are providing support to their loved ones, whether you're a partner, a parent or a friend. We've created groups so you can contact each other, you can support each other through this, have those difficult conversations that you can't have with your loved one, or even you can't have with somebody else because you're not sure they really understand. And it's also a place where we can continue to educate each other as well, to share the things that we've learned, whether that's something you've learned from us, something you've read elsewhere, or maybe just something that seemed to really help your loved one. It would be really great if we can continue this conversation together and hopefully create a really supportive network, not just for your loved ones, but for you as well.